a treat. So without further so without further ado, what I'm going to do is a brief introduction and we're going to get right started. So we have the awesome Beate Gillette. She is a respected career coach and consummate entrepreneur and founder of the Woman's Code, a unique guide to personal and career success that offers a new code of conduct for today's business, private, and digital world. Determined to build a community of women helping each other, after selling one of her companies, Beate Works, to Bill Gates in 2006 for millions of dollars, Beate created the Woman's Code in February of 2012 to reach women everywhere. Beate launched the Woman's Code online course, and you're going to learn more about that and more about the phenomenal Beate right now. So without further ado, I'd like to present to some and introduce to others the phenomenal Beate Gillette. Take it away.
Oh, wonderful, Tony. I think this must be the best presentation introduction I have ever had from anyone, so I really appreciate that you invited me, and I can't wait to meet your audience and the wonderful women on the call. And just wanting to make sure that we have the screen up live. So is everyone seeing this okay? Making sure that my computer screen really is showing up and you see the opening slide here?
Yes, we actually can see it. So if you want to go ahead and make it like full screen to take over in presentation mode, if it's not already there, we can see it.
Yeah. Yes, I've made it as big as possible because I do want to show two documents here as we get started, because everyone on the call should have two documents that we have set up for you. One of them is the Wanted All list, which I'm showing right here, and the other one is the free balance training handout. If you do not have those two pages, they are on the Network for Women in Business .com website with the /Beate. So you will be needing those. Go ahead and get those. We have a little bit of time, so I'm going to put those away again, but just to make sure that you know that we will be needing those. So again, welcome to everyone. My name is Beate Gillette, and as I was so lovely introduced by Tony, I am a woman who takes balance and women in business very seriously, and I found that as a single mother and as a as someone who kind of wants everything, that it was always very difficult for me to, to like do it all. And so something always suffered. It was either my personal life, and I couldn't find a good partner, or I felt that I sucked basically being a mom, or I didn't have enough time to put in my entrepreneurial business, or I didn't have time to take care of myself, eat the proper foods, have a good healthy diet, go work out. And so something was always lacking in my life, or at least that's what I thought. So on this slide on your screen now, you see in front of you what we as women generally kind of balance. And you see that we balance the family, the children, our parents, relationships. Then, of course, we want to balance our lives by having an active and fulfilling social life, which means we want friends, and we want girlfriends, and we want to go out, we want to have fun, we want to do things that are meaningful to us. Then, of course, there's the aspects of being healthy, physical fitness, nutrition, what you put in, and just feeling good about your body. And we all know that if you feel good about yourself within your body, that mentally, obviously, also in a much, much better place, which brings us to the next part, spirituality. And I'm a big believer that balance is, spirituality is a very large component of balance. When you are in a good mental state, when you have a calm and peaceful state of mind, when you have an acceptance kind of attitude, it's much easier to be balanced. So religion, your beliefs are important to me, and they should be very important to you. And they are, as I said, an important aspect of finding a good balance. So from a work perspective, now, we have not just the regular hours that you put into your work to get the job done, but we also have career goals, things that you want to achieve, which are in addition to that which you're already doing right now. And, are you properly compensated for what you do? Is the financial aspect stressful? Is the financial aspect supporting you the way you should be supported? So all of that also fits into the balance part, because I always, I kind of almost joke about it. I said the bohemian lifestyle is so overrated. Money is good. And life is easier when you don't have to worry about money. And I don't care what anyone else says. Of course you can be happy on every budget. I'm not saying that, you have to be X or Y, but as out of my personal experience and for having been broke for a very, very long time and now being in a position to be able to, to live a wonderful lifestyle, I will tell you this part is much more fun than the other part. I mean, at least to me and pretty much to everyone that I know. So I want you to make sure that you also have a very close eye on, the cash part of your life and the financial part of your life, just because we want to eliminate that stress factor from your plate. Then there's, of course, the big spotlight on you as a woman, you as a person, about, do you have the time to get centered? Do you have time to do your own development, perhaps volunteer or take time out, get away, give your brain a break? So when we take all of these different aspects and, now we have obligations and desires and wants and necessities in our lives. So in your handout, you have and I'm going to show you this again. So in the handout, on the first page, I had asked you what area of your life you wanted to improve most, and this is for you to, to fill out, and we'll get to that back in the question and answer part, and also about what gives you the greatest joy. And we will talk about that in a little while, why that is so important to have in there. So in the first line here, in the first paragraph, you see these are the main things that I'm balancing. So I'd like you to just take a moment and fill that out and tell, and just write down all the things that you have currently on your plate. And the reason, and you see here on this slide a couple of suggestions that you may choose from. And the reason I want you to write this down is it's amazing to me how many women are unaware of just how many different things they handle on a daily basis. So one of the big parts of the Women's Code is that I want you to recognize all the things that you do in the course of 24 hours, in the course of a week, in the course of a month, because this is not for the weak. What women do today is what women have always done, plus the demands of a contemporary, of a modern woman. So it's almost like a double job, and a lot of us are single parents on top of it. So you take what women have always done, add the demands of contemporary women on top of that, and then you add the part of being a single parent, on top of that. And next thing you know, we are sometimes juggling as much as 3 full-time jobs. So I want you to give yourself the recognition, because the balance comes from looking at yourself almost like you take a step out from your busy life. So we take your busy life, we draw it out on a piece of paper, and we say, okay, look, realistically, this is all that's going on. Now, step outside of that and be your best friend and look at this life and say, what is the reasonable expectation that this person should be having on themselves? And is there enough self-appreciation? And is there enough goodwill to oneself? And, so we stop beating ourselves up over it, and we no longer get worried about, if it doesn't get done, so it doesn't get done. But we want to make sure that you really recognize all your accomplishments and all of the things that you balance on a regular type of basis. So let's move on here. So in the way I got to the Women's Code is because this is what was happening to me. I came to a point where I didn't like myself very much. And I want to tell you just a little bit of background about myself so you know who I am. So I come originally from Germany, and I immigrated to the United States over 20 years ago. And I had a very fast career very early on. So I come from a middle-class family in Germany, and I wanted to be a photographer. And I always had heard that, in Germany you have these aptitude tests because they really prepare you for your career. And this lady came in and she said to me, well, what would you like to be? And I said, well, I would like to be a jewelry designer. And she said, well, there's too many applicants, not enough jobs. So she said, well, what else would you like to be? I said, well, how about a textile designer? Someone's got to do all these kind of cool fabrics. And she says, well, there's too many people applying for these types of jobs and just not enough of these jobs out there. She said, what else would you want to be? I said, well, how about a photographer? And she said, as you guessed it, the inevitable, too many people want these types of jobs and not enough jobs are out there. So she says, well, would you consider being a secretary? And I said, absolutely not, because that wasn't what I wanted to do. To make the story short, I went on to become a photographer anyway, and I was accepted to a photography school in Munich. I got my photography degree. I was only 19 years old when I had my photography degree. I became an editor for a very young magazine by the way of first becoming an intern, and then I worked myself from the intern into becoming the photo editor of the magazine. From there on, my next job was the photo editor at Elle magazine in Germany. So imagine this. So here I am. I'm some 21 years old. From 21 to 23, I worked at Elle magazine in Germany. I work with the best photographers in the world. People would have done absolutely everything for me, and I, choose to leave all of that behind because I felt that at that point there was something, that made me be someone I was because of the position that I was in, and I wanted to be who I truly was. So I went out to have this great big adventure in America, and believe me, I haven't had a boring day since. Now let's fast forward. I'm in the United States. I set up my own business after the earthquake and in the big recession in the early 90s. So I launched my company in the year 2000 and when was it? Well, it's been 13, 14, 15 years, yes. So that was 2002 it was. No, 1999. Something like that. And I don't even remember that's how long it's been. And so I set up my entrepreneurial business. I was, pregnant. No, it was 1992. Here we go. I was pregnant. I had just survived the floods, the earthquake, the fires, and the riots in Los Angeles. That's how I started my business with a big bang because I had no other choice. So I'm doing what a lot of you are doing probably right now. I did my best, and I worked really hard, and sometimes it was a little bit better, and then there was a setback, and and so it goes, and so it goes, and so it goes. But finally, I worked myself up to about $1 million in gross revenue from from my business, which I thought was kind of a good, gross income to have. And then I find out that my key employee got a little bit too close to one of my photographers. And I was a production company. I was a photographer representative working with really nice big clients, Mercedes-Benz and BMW, and people came from all over the world to the United States to produce with me. And I thought things were great up until that day. And it turned out that they had conspired to take this business away from me because they felt that I wasn't doing anything, and they felt that they were entitled to my business, which was really my fault because I hadn't been paying attention to it. So next thing I know, and because I didn't know any better, I get involved in this huge lawsuit with them, and I sued them because I wanted to be right. At the end of the day, that really didn't matter much because the price for being right sometimes is much higher than being smart and just walking away from a situation that really nobody can win. But I fought, and I did a great battle. So, I started to go into very serious debt because, remember, my business was now in real jeopardy because these people had taken about $500,000 in volume away from me. But, the production season was coming. It was September. I had another, $450,000, $500,000 in production on the books. And then September 11th came and wiped me out. I lost $500,000 in 48 hours. The phone kept on ringing. Sorry, Beate, we can't come to the United States. Sorry, Beate, we're not coming. So it was over for me. And I settled the lawsuit about 5 months later. I was, over $100,000 in debt. When it was all said and done, I walked out with exactly zero. So all this fight meant nothing. At the end of the day, it was at exactly zero. I had to start from nothing all over again. But I had this great idea of doing this stock photography business, and I became, very quickly I was able to secure amazing photographers. It was all about interior architecture, living well, home decoration ideas, and, and how-to kind of things. We work with, magazines and advertising. Like when you go into your bank and you see that big poster behind the teller that says you want to remodel your kitchen, and there's this beautiful picture of the kitchen. That could have been an image we provided. But I had no money. So I'm running up, and again, there's probably something many of you can relate to. So I'm running up that spiral staircase to success as fast as I can, but I'm going deeper and deeper and deeper into debt. And I, I wrote a business plan, which if you haven't written a business plan, that's definitely essential for you to do. And I, and I did that after hours when, when I wasn't being a mom. So it was a very, very difficult time. And then I fly to Germany, and my father has a stroke. But it wasn't a stroke. It really was that he had pancreatic cancer. He died within 6 weeks. So now my worst case scenario has already happened. So my father is dead. I'm in terrible debt. My business is not growing fast enough. And my phone rings. I'm literally at the grave in Germany, and my office tells me we've just been served a notice from the landlord. So that was my turning point. And at that point, I said, if God has a plan, this would be a really good time to fill me in, because I don't think I can handle anymore. But I was prepared. If I was going to go down, I was going to go down in fire. I wasn't going to drown in a puddle. If I was going to drown, I was going to drown in an ocean at least, so it's worth it. So I went back, and I had written a letter to the President of the United States, believe it or not, because my former mother-in-law wanted me to, and she just wouldn't be quiet about it. So I finally wrote a letter to the President. I get a letter from the White House. A week later, I'm in touch with the Small Business Administration here in Los Angeles. 3 months later, I have a loan that is backed by the Small Business Administration, restructure my debt. 3 months later, I'm profitable, and a year later, I sell my company for millions of dollars to Bill Gates. So why I'm telling the story is very simple, because sometimes when you go in these darkest moments, and when you see the slide now in front of you, is this happening to you where it's too much, where you can't smile, where you don't know what's happening to you, where you can't accept that what is in front of you is all there is for you, when you want to enjoy your life, when there's too many obligations, when you don't even know what the word fun is anymore, and when you're mad at yourself that you got to this point, and when you feel guilty and you're not fulfilled because of all this drama that's sitting on top of your shoulders, that's generally a very good sign, because you may just get out of the tunnel in the next turn. So I believe, in the terms of balance, that in order to find the good balance, you have to know what each side of the slide does. And when a scale goes out of balance, one side of the scale goes way up, the other side, the other one is way down. So sometimes, in order to find that balance, both scales are, juggling a little bit until they find that balance. So if this is what happens to you where you are at, embrace it, because that means that, things are moving along the way they should be moving along. So I believe that hardship and difficulties are important for you to find the balance and to get out of it, because otherwise you wouldn't know when things are moving. And this concept of, this motion of the ups and down and rhythms and phases and waves, I call those ego rhythms. And I have identified 9 ego rhythms of which there's, a mother ego rhythm, and there's a family ego rhythm, and there's a tragedy ego rhythm, and then there's one for love and relationship. There's a health ego rhythm, and there's a Zen ego rhythm, because your life is not always going to be like this. For anyone on the call who has children, you will agree with me that when you look at your kids, that they make such significant changes in their rhythms, in their growth spurts, in their development, that things that were really dramatic or a big deal yesterday aren't a big deal anymore 6 months from now. And that's how this whole concept of ego rhythms was born, that there are, that we really live in these kind of slices of life, in these rhythms of life, and I define them as an event or an occurrence that takes place over a period of time. Generally, it's around 3 years. And that number comes from my experience. That number comes from a lot of the women that I coach and that I work with, is that you can expect, if you are in one of those rhythms and it's pretty defined main focus that you have, that is the main impact on your life or the main influence on your life, that's what your current ego rhythm is like. And if you want to find out how to find out which ego rhythm you're in, I'll tell you how to do that at the at the end of the call, but this is your balance training. But I want to bring this up because this concept of ego rhythms is very liberating for us as we are so busy. So no matter where you are, I can guarantee you that it will not always be like that. So enjoy where you are at. Live this at 100%, because it is only for now. It will change again. So in your personal life balance plan, you need to take care of yourself first. You've heard this many, many, many times before, and a happy mother, a happy partner, a happy woman, a happy business owner does a better job in the respective kind of categories. And one of the big tricks that I have is that you need to start to schedule things that are important to you in your calendar. And when I was at facilitating the live event, the conference, one of the attendees came to me afterward, and her hair was down to her waist, and she walks up to me and she takes her hair and she shows it to me and she says, "Do you see this? Do you see this?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do." She says, "Do you want to know how long I haven't had a haircut?" She says, "I didn't even think about that. I should be scheduling my hair appointments like I schedule my kids' hair appointments. So if their hair appointments go into the family calendar, I am going to start to schedule my own hair appointments in our family calendar." And sometimes that's all it takes. If your kids' baseball, basketball, swim practices, games are in the calendar, your workout appointment, your nutrition appointment, your walk with the girlfriends, your coffee on Saturday afternoon with whomever, your night out goes in the calendar as well. Because everyone, and I suggest to do a family kind of calendar where yours and theirs and ours are all in there, so that everyone gets taken care of. And when you see it in writing in front of you, it makes things a lot easier. And one of the things I want you to think about is, what even is it that you'd like to schedule time for? Do you need time to read? Do you need time to research? Do you need some time out to plan things, to meditate, to eat? What are sort of these things that are important to you? And I want you to write those down. And let me just go back to our balance training. So you see here in in the handout, again, so we started with the main things that you're balancing. So the main focus, we just talked about that. So what is that main focus, that main theme that's going on in your life? Are you madly in love? Are you dealing with a health issue? Are you dealing with, your children small? Is being a mother your priority item? But make sure that you kind of narrow it down to something that is really the most important thing, because it influences everything else. You cannot do everything all the time equally good. It's not humanly possible. But if you set a main focus and you say, this is the main focus for now, for this rhythm that I am in, then it's much easier to adjust everything else, because then your choices will be based upon if it supports that main focus or if it doesn't. And if the choice is not supporting the main focus, then it is not a priority item. So if it is a choice that supports the main focus, then it is a priority item. So let me know, if that makes sense to you. And please, if you have questions about them, just jot them down in the meantime, because we will have some time to go through that. I want to make sure all of you have your questions answered properly at the end of it. So we talked about this, this is what's happening to me. You just saw that on the other slide. If you have recognized yourself in that portion of, I used to be fun. I used to laugh a lot more. I used to go out, or I love dancing, but I haven't gone dancing in I don't even know how long. Then write that down and identify the things that you are not doing for yourself, or that you have given up for whatever reason that was, because I want you to claim the things back into your life that are meaningful to you. And so let's go to, you see down here that I'm worth it, this is what I will do for myself. That's what we're talking about right now, is the portion of what is it that you need to be doing for yourself. Put it in writing. And, and again, here you see also there's a portion where you can struggle with things. So I've accounted for all of these kinds of things, because I want you to really have, the total picture. Is, make sure you know what's going on, make sure where your main focus is, be accepting to what's kind of happening to you. Let's have some awareness on that. Know what you struggle with, set your self-worth, claim this for yourself, and then we'll be moving, on with the training right away. But I hope that you understand the main concept here really is, in the balance, is that you need to take yourself as serious as your business appointment, as your networking meetings, as your meetings with your CPA, your accountants, your partners, your team members, your graphic designers. Everything that is about you has the same value, because we as women require a balance to function. When this balance gets out of whack, what happens? Sickness happens, depression happens, unhappiness happens, and a lot of times the relationships with those that are closest to us, the people that we love, the relationships get strained, because the communication becomes not fun anymore. It becomes heavy, and it becomes very, it becomes just another thing that you have to do. And that's what I hear a lot from the women that I work with, is that, especially when you are over 40, 45 plus, and we come to this incredibly crucial change in our lives where that voice inside becomes so loud that we really want to have more for us in our lives, that many times we look at the partnerships, and the partnerships are not supporting us the way we need to be supported. So this is, in the balance training, we talk about the things that you do for yourself to ensure that we make you a happier person, because happier people have better relationships. So let's move on to the next point. So the life action plan that I create and talk about, this is, kind of how we go about it. So I've given this a hypothetical scenario. So in an ideal week for me, I have a certain number of hours that I go to work out. I want special time with my partner. I'm not married. I have a boyfriend, and I've been in a committed relationship for many years now, but because of my experience with not having had that for so long, it is very important to me that I schedule that special time. Then I'm a mother, so obviously, there has to be time with the kids, with my daughter, but my daughter's now in college, so obviously, so when she comes here, the time that I spend with her is much more compacted than I used to. Then there has to be hours for me, just me time. And maybe that's not even a scheduled me time. Maybe that's just a doodle time. That's just a be time. And then, of course, I also want to schedule serious relaxation time where I do nothing, or I read a book, or whatever relaxation means for you. Remember, these are for you to define. This is about your unique concept. It's about what makes sense to you, what makes you happy. That's what you put down. And the reason I like the scheduling part is when you have 24 hours in a day and you want to sleep for 8 hours and you work for 8 hours, 16 hours of your day are gone. So you only have 6 hours per day left to do things. So you have to look at this very realistically. If it takes you an hour in the morning to get up, get the kids ready, get them to childcare and go, or school or whatever, and go to work, now you only have 5 hours. You do that again when you pick up the kids and you come home, then another hour is gone, so now you only have 4 hours. Now you need to slice another hour away for the cooking, the taking care of homework, or whatever that is, or maybe it's 2 hours. Next thing you know, in your regular work day, you may only have 1 or 2 hours a day where you can realistically even schedule something. Unless, of course, you have this communication with your partner and you take turns. And you say, you pick up the kids on this day, and I'll use that time now to schedule my time for me out of the house, or you pick up the kids, you take the kids to dinner, so your partner has maybe a routine with the kids that they do every Wednesday for an hour or 90 minutes where they are not at the house, and those are your 60 to 90 minutes that you may just schedule this me time. So it really is about laying it out on a piece of paper, on a schedule, to see how much you really even can do. And that is the trick to the balance training, is that you recognize the situation. The ego rhythm you're in right now dictates how much time there really is. But remember, even if your schedule this week or next week may not be exactly what you'd like it to be, but the ego rhythm is going to change at one point. So that will change again, and there will be different types of scenarios. So it's important to understand, to work with that and have some fun with that, and see how you can make the work. Be creative, be unique at it. See how that kind of could work. Get your mother involved. Get play dates, play groups involved, or the kinds of things that or do carpools to events. Set things up that involve other people to help support you, so that you can get closer to the things that you need to have happening in your life, so that you can find that balance that you need to be, again, the better partner, mother, business owner. And and down here I put in the little outline for how many hours of work that you work, because you want to put that in as well to just get a realistic assessment. So is that making sense so far? If anyone has any comments, you can always use the chat feature and start putting your comments in there, or your questions in the meantime. And I know Tony will make sure, along with me, that we make sure everything is clear and well thought out. So let's go to the next one. The what needs improvement part, the reality of it is that, again, in the coaching that I do with my clients, and a lot from the training in the Women's Code and the conferences and the events that I do, one of the things that seems to be an ongoing theme for women is this terrible critical view of ourselves that we have. The reason we just looked at the schedule and we talked about the realistic assessment of the hours that you have available to you. No one has more than 24 hours in a day. That's just a fact. So why do we beat ourselves up when we are not getting it all done, even though we now have it in front of us in black and white on a piece of paper where it says it cannot humanly be done? There's something within us that drives us where we continue to be too exhausted to even enjoy what we've created. There's always something that comes up. We critical. A lot of women that I meet, beat themselves up and have terrible self-esteem because they feel like they're, in their own words, losers because they can't make it, or they, the best mothers on the planet are telling me what terrible mothers that they are, and I couldn't even imagine someone more dedicated, more loving, more devoted to their children, which is a lot of times because they never looked at what realistically is possible. Sometimes women get to that point where they think being divorced is going to be easier than having to deal with the partner and the problems of the partner and the partnership, and then the feeling of being disconnected. Then, taking, always working, always taking care of everyone else. That's not balance. And even more often, I hear that the fun gal inside has gone astray, has gone missing. And sometimes what it takes is a significant health issue to show up for women to say, I cannot continue to do it at the pace that I have been doing it. And, and often that it kind of comes very often along with poor body image, just because if you have no time, you don't have time to take care of yourself. And I want to tell you that in the concept of egoism, where everything comes in due time and where you are able to set a main focus and you understand that there's a time to take care of the business and to give it 100%. And then there's a time for your family to get 100%. And there's a time to play 100%. That it really takes the stress out. And the women have gone through the program, and not just this training, but the Women's Code online course, which I will talk about in a minute. They call this a transformational experience because what we talk about here is nothing you don't already know. Every single one of you knows this, but many of you are not living it. And why? Because you have gotten so used to this more, faster, that you don't know when you're doing too much anymore. And you're running on adrenaline, you're running on everything you got, and you are wearing yourselves out, and you becoming unhappy and very often sick or depressed. And I want to tell you that historically, when you look at the role of the woman, men have had this code on what men do and how they are able to shut, things off and go golf and have this sort of compartmentalization ability that where they, can do this, and they check out Monday morning emotionally out of the relationship, and they don't show up until Friday because now they're in the work mode and they do what's done. This is a code that has been established for thousands of years. So this is a code that's been handed down from man to boy and man to boy and man to boy. Of course they know how to do this. We have had 50. Women have only been able to do for 50 years what they want to do, at least in the Western world. In some parts of the world, it's not even possible. Do you really think that it's realistic that in 50 years we have established this kind of code This is why I've established the Women's Code, because I felt that it was time that someone stepped up and said, hey, let's take this combined knowledge that we all have and put it together so that women all over the world can participate in what I hope will be a global movement, and help spread the word of what we can do to make ourselves happy, to live fabulous lives, to enjoy all that we fought for so hard for the last 50 years. We are meant to be ecstatic, enthusiastic about everything we've achieved and not worn down and depressed. So that's my big message to you. So, yay, you're making progress already. See, we already created the awareness. Now, what I want you to do is please be gentle to yourself. See yourself as the awesome woman that is living a dream, that has all these opportunities, that has this toolbox to choose from and has choices to make, and really embrace that. Be gentle to yourself. Don't beat yourself up that you are not doing, all of it tomorrow, but start with small changes. If the schedule is too much, then claim your first hour this weekend, or claim your first afternoon this weekend. Do something, a small thing that you feel comfortable in doing. The little steps amount to big steps, and it is okay to say no. Not that you don't know that, but I am going to say it anyway. If you cannot say no, then say not now. Because not now is a little gentler, and a lot of you may not be able to say no, and saying no is definitely a process. I mean, it took one of the women in the online course, it took her forever to, I think it wasn't until session 5 when she finally said, you know what, I've done it for the first time now, where I said to someone, not now, and it felt incredible. She says, I've done 18 years of therapy, she says, and it took me for this to realize that I have to really put myself first and not always respond to when this person calls and immediately needs me to do something. I said no for the first time, and I feel really liberated. And that's the experience I'd like you to have. Make sure you get the support for your decisions from your girlfriends. Now, and I'm going to mention this very briefly because we are, want to make sure we have enough time for the question and answer session. But there are things that you cannot take to men. There are things that can only be talked about with women, with other, girlfriends, or if you have male friends that act as, where you have this kind of close relationship with. But generally, your partners are not your girlfriends. It's very important that you understand that, because that really helps the relationship aspect. Make sure you get help. So if you need a coach, if you need to take another training, a course, or if therapy may be an option for you, or fun school, or someone who appeals to you, that has said something that rang true deep inside your core, get the help, because no one expects you to be perfect. No one expects you to figure this out overnight. Again, it is small steps, small changes, and start by doing something for yourself. Here's a couple of the ideas that are quick fixes. So get a Wii. I like the Wii. I play the Wii. I do some of the balance games. Not just do I get exercise, but I also have a little bit of fun. Maybe it's inspirational quotes. We had a woman at the company that I worked at for a while, where she isolated herself throughout every lunch break, and she read for 30 minutes every single day. Then there's this exercise of focusing just on your breath for about 5 minutes. Just sit, in your chair where you're sitting right now. Close your eyes. Give yourself 5 minutes and just breathe. Maybe it's the get around the office building and just walk around the block at lunch, just to break up the routine. Walk to get to lunch. Don't drive. Very important to maybe some of the horror CSI or Criminal Minds show, which I love. instead of that, watch something that's fun, that gets you, light. And make sure you get in the habit of giving yourself little rewards. Another idea is putting an MP3 player on when you clean the house or work in the yard to either listen to self-improvement or listen to, again, inspirational things or just your favorite music to dance around. So the checklist is I want you to do something fun every day, and that's your homework that I want you to schedule. Do something every day for 5 minutes that is fun for you. And be conscious that it is fun for you. Get it out of your head, what it is that you need to do. Write it down so you can mark it off so you see it in front of you. I have this thing when I'm upset at someone or something, I write it down, I rant, start all the sentences with you did, you said, and use words like always and never. Rant, get it out of your system, write it down, put it in an envelope. Under no circumstances can you send it. When you're done with it, you burn it and you release it. But, I want you to get all that stuff that's piled up inside, I want you to get it out. The magic words, we talked about it. No, not right now. I'm good, thank you. That's not for me. It doesn't feel right. I can't right now. I'll get to it as soon as I can. Focus on the breathing. And, one of the things I do actually quite regularly is I have a tension problem in my shoulders. So when I can feel me sitting here at the desk with, the hunched up shoulders, I just close your eyes. Let's do that really quickly together. Close your eyes, and I want you to do almost like you're like an MRI, like a scanning machine. And imagine that there's a machine that goes, that scans you from your head, goes over your eyes, over your nose, over your chin, and you release all the tension in your body as it keeps going down over your chest, over your tummy, over your hips, any tension in the intestine and the stomach. Let's just take a deep breath. Let that out all the way down, over the thighs, into the knees, into the calves, into your feet, arms, fingers. Shake it a little bit. Okay, tension released. See how easy that was? You can do that any day. You can do that 10 times a day. And ask for help. Be specific and clear. So think about what your perfect life looks like. How much is enough? What do you want to achieve? When have you made it? Who you are as a leader? What's important to me? All these things are important to the goal setting. All these things are important to find the balance so that when you get there, you actually know you have arrived. And when you have reached a financial goal, so you've reached your financial goal, so you get out of that rut of more. And then this is one of my favorite quotes from Amelia Earhart, and she says, the most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. Isn't that a beautiful quote? Because it is up to you to act. And so what I do is I have created an online course, and you see the link right here. It's at beateshillette.com/the-women's-code-online. This course, and I've done a special offer for you. Usually the course is $497, but I am knocking off for the next 24 hours. I'm knocking off at $200 for you because I really appreciate what Tony does for you and for women in business. So I want to do my part as well. So when you go to this page and you see it right here, beateshillette.com, the-women's-code-online, you see the login. You see the page, and when you click on the Let's Get Started, it gets you to a second page, and you see I just had that done by my designer. So we changed the price down here. It's no longer $497. We changed it for everyone. You don't need a coupon. You don't need a code. It's $297. It's a 40% discount. And, I have a money-back guarantee and all that good stuff because I truly believe that the more of us are able to be, joining this movement and find the balance and become, happy and balanced, the better it will be for all of us, because we are all in this together. And I'd like to open the call now and see if there were any questions that I can answer for you.
There was one person that asked a question. She really kind of made a comment, and she talked about how her body feels out of balance, and because of an injury, she can't really exercise or anything like that. So what are some of your suggestions to her when, she's very limited with what she can do physically and her body
Mm-hmm.
feels out of balance?
Well, I can relate to that 100%. I actually started to get terrible migraines as part of this perimenopausal process. So I have now very bad hormonal migraines. And I like to exercise, and I generally like to do a lot of cardio type of stuff. But with this constant issue of migraines, I feel very handicapped, so I can completely relate to you. So what I ended up doing is that I recognize that I can't fight this process that's going on in my body, because you have this injury, or I have the migraines for a reason, because there's some things, as you very well said, out of balance. So it's about finding things that you feel comfortable to do. And so for me, it was that I had to recognize that I'm going for a lot more walks now versus, the strenuous exercise. I've gotten these resistance bands, those rubber bands. I don't know how you best describe it, elastic bands. So now I use those to help me with some of my exercises, just because every time when I get into a migraine attack, I still need to work out to some extent, because I like the way I feel when I work out, but I can't do a lot of the cardio, which is very detrimental. So you need to just take it down to the level that your body allows. So don't be stuck up on the routine that you used to do, but try to find something that is actually aiding the healing process. So if you can't do the cardio as much, then maybe it's time for you to go in the swimming pool and swim. And if you can't swim fast and hard, then swim slow. And just do it to the extent that your body still feels comfortable. In my case with the migraines, I have to really take it down to a lot more of a comfort level, which is very difficult for me as an alpha woman. But in the concept of ego rhythm, remember, you are now in a health ego rhythm. At least that's, what I think. And so this is your main focus. So your main focus is to do whatever it takes to get this back in balance by, doing the meditation, do the visualization of seeing that body heal. If prayer is an option for you, prayer is very, very powerful, or perhaps tapping or energy healer. I work with a wonderful intuitive healer, so who I got involved. So try a lot of different things and be very open and alert to what is coming at you from the outside, where because many times when we are asking for help and we say, what should I do, it tends to be presented to us in some other way. So if you see something that you're interested in that sounds true, try that. So, but most likely your routine will have to change in order to help your body, because that's how you got injured in the first place. So that's the best way to get back in balance, is to really try a number of different things. And it may be 10 things, it may be 20 things, and it may be yoga, or it may just be stretching, or it may be Watsu, which is wonderful to aid the healing process. Or, I see a Chinese herbalist very regularly, every 2 weeks, just to help me, reestablish the balance, or a nutritionist who can give you supplements to help the muscle to heal, and knows if you're lacking perhaps magnesium that needs, this physical injury to heal. I hope that answers that question, but it's all about trying different things.
Wow, that's great. We do have another question here, and I don't know Christine, if you would like to speak, because you definitely can speak. I can unmute the lines if
Oh, yeah,
you.
yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Okay. Uh, let's see. Hold on one second.
No problem, Tony.
Christine, are you there? Would you like to speak?
Yes, well, hi. Hello,
Hi.
everybody. I
Hello.
didn't expect that. I was just making a small comment and I just wanted to say hello to Beata.
Hi,
And
Christine.
hi, how are you?
I'm very good. I'm so glad that you're on the call. What time is it?
Well, it's the same time as yours, I guess, because I'm in Michigan.
Oh, that's
Uh,
right. You're visiting your daughter. Oh, wonderful.
Yes. Yeah,
Oh,
and I
good,
thought
good,
I
good, good.
wouldn't I couldn't miss that call, so I just thought I'd say hello.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Christine and I actually have been working together for some time, and Christine actually has been taking the Women's Code online course. You want to talk about that a little bit, sort of what has changed for you, because your story is phenomenal.
Oh, thanks. No, I don't think it's very phenomenal, but the changes in my life have been, and it's going fast, faster than I thought. And I can say the balance plan really works if you apply it. And the results, one of the results of my applying this balance plan is my presence in Michigan, because I never would have imagined before to make such a trip and to plan it out and to take the time to do it and pay for it myself. That's really one of the results of this balance plan. So it's really a treat for me to come to see my daughter, and it was all possible because of this consciousness I had of the fact that I had days that were really too long, and that I needed serious planning. And it worked, with ups and downs, I must say, but it works. So that's what I
Wonderful. Yeah,
wanted to say.
And Christine actually has 4 children,
Yeah.
and she lives in France, and she's been a dedicated full-time mom. And this voice that I was talking about earlier was those are actually your words, Christine. I took those words from you, where you said this voice inside of you became so loud that you realized you had to do
Yeah.
something for yourself to find a better balance.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'm so
Yeah.
glad you're here, and I'm so glad you're putting it to use. So, yeah, what else do I have to say?
Yeah.
There's your living proof.
Yeah, it's wonderful, really, and it takes guts to do that, because we are so used to a certain rhythm. We got into those bad habits of giving ourselves totally to others and feeling guilty about taking care of ourselves. But it does take a while to get into the new rhythm, but it works. It's excellent, really, and it's rewarding.
Wonderful. Well, I'm very proud of you. I think you've
And
done
thank you,
phenomenal.
Beata, for all this. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you. Well,
Yeah.
good. Anyone else who wants to chip in?
Yes, we do have another caller that would like to chime in, and I want to thank Christine as well for that. It's so exciting. It's always great to be able to connect women from all around the world, and it's just, my heart is getting like so full, because I mean I'm literally seeing this in action. So this is wonderful. So we have Mary Fisher, and hold on, Mary, can you hear us? Because I just unmuted your line.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm happy to be here. I wanted to add a couple other things to what Christine said, because I have completed the Women's Code course myself, and I realized that there, as Beate had predicted, there's a couple of things that have stood out to me, and I think for whoever takes the course, there'll be a few things that will really stand out and have meaning for your life. And one of them for me was, I guess, about behavior and how we conduct ourselves, with business colleagues, but also with friends. But this idea of raising our standards of behavior, how we speak to people, how much we're willing to take from other people. But this whole idea of communication and bettering our communication has just had such value for me. as well as the idea that, I'm an independent writer. I'm not used to asking for help, and something that Beate stresses in the Women's Code is learning how to ask for help and how to ask for support. And so the support idea has really helped me in my life and my business. So I learned a lot from it, and always eager to learn more. So I just want to thank you, Beate.
Oh, thank you. Well, and in Mary's case, and I'm just going to share that one of the things about Mary that really stood out is that she sort of had gotten into a place where she, Mary, I hope it's okay to say that, but you were very fearful of some of the things that had happened to you because some of your friends didn't support you and your choices and decisions, and then her writing business became very difficult because of all the changes in the editorial world, because Mary is an award-winning journalist, and she used to go all over the world, uncover all these amazing things, and then the magazines are all going out of business, and the world has really changed, and there was a discrepancy between who she wanted to be and who she thought she needed to be to appeal to what was going on. And when she went through the Women's Code, and this is what it's about. It's not about me telling anyone what is, but it's about establishing the tools, which is what the Women's Code does. It establishes the tools for you to say, oh, this is where this rings true to me. This is now what I need to be doing for myself and for my life to kind of move forward. And little do you know, and all of a sudden, and it's been what, Mary? It's been what, 3 months for you, or 4 months?
Exactly. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, she's adding new clients. She's done things she's never done before. She's done barter deals. She's out there. She's pounding the pavement. She's more comfortable in herself. She's eager to learn, and all of a sudden, everything is changing energetically. And you heard it from Christine too. It's about I didn't tell anyone anything that they didn't know, but it is about when you put it together that you get to choose what rings true for you, which is the missing part. Maybe that's a better way to put it, which is the missing part that elevates you to that next level that you need to get to.
Exactly right. Yes, thank you.
Well, I'm so glad that you took the balance training also. You already taken it.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Mary. Thanks for that.
Well, of course, I have more to say.
Okay.
I don't know if we have time.
Go ahead. We have time. Go
Okay.
ahead. A little bit.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, I mean, a big part of it, and Beatrice is right about trying to transition from one kind of writing to another and having resistance, and kind of, judging or sort of staying with who I was and what I had done without kind of exactly being open to trying new things. And now I've really got the hang of it, and I like it. I like these new kind of articles I write, and I've asked, asked for help from actually Beate's graphic designer, because I'm publishing an ebook on deadline. And so, yeah, things is much more energy in my house, even though I'm not able to get out of the house and exercise. I'm the one who wrote that question about having an injury. So I'm pretty much in here working, but I'm happy.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Thank you so much, Mary. Wow, this has been fantastic. Beate, I just want to thank you so much. I mean, we had quite a few people on here, I guess, that were takers of the Women's Code and, students of yours. And we have quite a few people on the call tonight that are probably new to you. And I'm so glad that your students were able to come on board and give a testimony.
I had no idea that they even were going to do that.
I mean, that's the way it works, right? That's the way, that's like, the way the universe makes it happen, right?
That's the part about support. I do believe that when, and the Women's Code is all about support. So you see it in action. It's not just that I support them, but they support me too. And that makes me, that just makes me happy. That's just such a gift. So thank you.
Yes, it's truly great when you can serve others and do the things that you love to do while you're serving others. So that's pretty phenomenal, and you are truly changing lives. And it's clear from the testimonies from your students that the Women's Code class is a class that will have a profound impact on your life. So I want to encourage all of the people that are on the call tonight on the webinar to take advantage of what Beate has to offer. We're going to put her information up on the website at the networkforwomeninbusiness.com, and we will also upload this webinar presentation. And definitely feel free to get in contact with Beate because she has a lot to offer. And I mean, I was so enlightened just listening to everything that you had to say. And I mean, and you definitely brought to the table some new terms that I had never heard before, and I'm really looking forward to exploring more about them, especially the ego rhythms. I'm looking forward to exploring more about that. So in closing, do you have anything, any parting words that you want to leave our webinar attendees with tonight?
Yes, I definitely do. I want to tell you that I support you. I see who you are, and I believe in you 100%. You can do it.
Fantastic. Well, you heard it from Miss Beate Gillette, and she is a phenomenal, powerful woman. She's making some big things happen. She's changing lives. She's touching the lives of people around the world, and she's definitely one of our best expert speakers, trainers, and coaches that we have here on the Network for Women in Business. I'm so proud to have her as a part of our family with similar goals and similar interests, and we are looking to help women all around the world. And that includes each and every one of you that attended the webinar tonight and those that will listen to the replay. So I thank you. I thank you, Beate. I thank you to all of the webinar attendees. Thank you guys so much. The webinar is now officially over. You guys have a good night.
Thank you.
You're welcome.